Shalom. This week's Sedra is Sedra Vayeshev. This week's Sedra is probably one of the most frustrating Sedras in the Torah. It is difficult to read of Yosef's immaturity, the brothers' hatred of Yosef, and the pain Yaakov experiences at hearing that his favorite son has been killed in a most brutal fashion. I'd like to believe that the Jewish people have read this 4,000-year-old story and learned the tragic ramifications of internal divisions. But we know the opposite is true. There is one lesson not often discussed that I like to focus on in this Dvar Torah. Hashem records in this week's Torah portion, once Yosef had a dream, which he told to his brothers, and they hated him even more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream which I have dreamed. There were binding sheaves in the field when suddenly my sheaves stood up and remained upright. Then your sheaves gathered around and bowed low to my sheaf." His brothers answered, "Do you mean to reign over us? Do you mean to rule over us?" And they hated him even more for his talk about his dreams. The Ramban taught two different ways to understand the brothers' response to Yosef. The brothers had said, "Would you surely rule over us as a king? Would you surely govern among us?" The two options the brothers present, being a king ruling and ruling over them, seem exactly the same. The Ramban quoted the Ibn Ezra, who explained this as, will you be chosen by us to be a king over us, or do you presume to possess the right to govern us? Ibn Ezra taught the difference between a king and ruler is that the king is chosen by the people, and the ruler positions himself as ruler. The Ramban disagreed with Ibn Ezra and translated this as, will you be a king over us or a governor ruling us? Because man prostrates himself before both of them. The difference, according to Onkelos and the Ramban, is between a king and a ruler is a method by which they rule. A king has ultimate authority, and a ruler is limited by rules that regulate his authority. The brothers emphatically answer that they won't be ruled by Yosef either as a king or a ruler. The two interpretations offered by Ibn Ezra and Ramban don't seem to differ that much, but a careful look at their explanations reveals a different way of looking at the brothers' consternation at Yosef. According to the Ibn Ezra's interpretation of the brothers' response, the brothers were focused on Yosef's assumptions of taking over as a ruler. They focused on Yosef and asked, will you be chosen by us as a king, or will you take over as by force as a ruler? The Ramban approached the brothers' response differently, focusing not on how Yosef would assume power over them, but on the effect over the brothers. They asked Yosef how he would rule. Would you rule as a king with absolute authority, or as a ruler with limited governance? The two interpretations teach us an interesting lesson in how people take offense at other people's comments. People take offense either at how people talk about themselves or at how they talk about others. When people assign too much power or greatness to themselves, people are offended. And when people assign too little power to others, people also take offense. The Ibn Ezra and Ramban take these two approaches to what upset the brothers, Ibn Ezra assuming it was Yosef apportioning too much power to himself, and the Ramban too little to the brothers. It's an important lesson for all of us to learn. Shabbat Shalom.